The alien ships arrived without fanfare, their sleek, obsidian hulls reflecting the dying light as they filled the skies above every major city on Earth. They moved in perfect synchronization, casting long shadows over the chaos below. Humanity had seen the stars but never imagined this. A silent, undeniable declaration of superiority. Across the globe, the reaction was immediate and visceral. Streets clogged with traffic as people tried to flee cities that felt like targets. Emergency broadcasts crackled to life, urging calm while offering no answers. Satellites went offline. Entire power grids flickered, and the air itself seemed to hum with the weight of something massive and imminent. Then the message came. It wasn't human, nor was it spoken with any emotion. It was precise, measured, and final. We are the executioners. Humanity is inefficient, its existence an error. You have 24 hours to surrender your world or be erased. The message repeated in every language, leaving no doubt that it was not a negotiation but a verdict. Governments convened in haste, their leaders desperate for solutions. Military forces around the world scrambled, preparing for a war they weren't sure they could fight. Scientists analyzed the alien vessels, searching for weaknesses, but the technology defied even their most advanced theories. Every attempt to communicate was met with silence. In the streets, fear turned into something raw and primal. Families packed into makeshift shelters. Others prepared to fight, as if sheer defiance could halt the inevitable. But there were whispers too, rumors that the executioners weren't invincible, that they had been defeated once before in the distant past. In a quiet corner of her study, Dr. Elena Carter pored over an ancient text that had suddenly become relevant. A historian with an expertise in human mythology, she'd been called in by desperate officials after noticing a symbol etched on the alien ships. The symbol matched something recorded in a millennia-old manuscript, a glyph tied to a myth about death itself rising to defend humanity in its hour of need. Elena knew it was a long shot, a story dismissed as fantasy for generations. But the glyph wasn't coincidence. It was deliberate. It was as if the executioners were taunting humanity with a reminder of something they had forgotten. Or perhaps it was a warning of what could still be unleashed. The world held its breath as the countdown began. The countdown had begun, and humanity's defiance crystallized into action. Across the globe, militaries mobilized, scientists worked without rest, and civilians prepared for the unthinkable. The executioners, vast and incomprehensible, had declared Earth a failed experiment, but humanity refused to accept annihilation without a fight. Engineers repurposed every available resource into weapons and defenses. Old satellites were modified into improvised missile platforms. Experimental railguns and particle beams, previously theoretical, were rushed into production. Hackers formed underground networks, attempting to breach alien systems, though they were met with layers of code far beyond anything human-made. Every avenue, no matter how implausible, was pursued. The first wave of the attack began before the 24-hour ultimatum expired. Without warning, smaller alien craft descended from the monolithic ships, releasing pulses of energy that dismantled infrastructure with terrifying efficiency. Cities fell silent as communication towers and power plants were rendered useless. Yet, even amidst this chaos, humans fought back. In the skies, fighter jets engaged alien drones, their advanced maneuverability making them difficult but not impossible targets. On the ground, soldiers and civilians alike used guerrilla tactics, taking out alien ground units with crude but effective weapons. It became clear that while the executioners were technologically superior, they underestimated the unpredictability of human tactics. Everywhere, stories of resilience emerged. In a remote village, farmers armed with hunting rifles took down an alien scout, salvaging its remains for their local engineers. In a coastal city, a retired naval commander led civilians in repurposing old fishing vessels into weapons platforms. Each act of defiance sent a clear message. Humanity would not go quietly. Dr. Elena Carter continued her work amidst the chaos. Her discovery of the glyph had sparked curiosity and desperation in equal measure. She pored through ancient texts, searching for any clue that could explain the connection between the executioners and humanity's forgotten myths. The answers were buried in fragmented stories, legends of an ancient entity that had once answered humanity's call, a force of destruction known only as death. Elena presented her findings to a desperate coalition of leaders. Skepticism filled the room, but there was no time for debate. The executioners were relentless, and their onslaught was stretching human forces to the breaking point. If there was even a chance that the legend held truth, it had to be pursued. With time running out, Elena led a small team to a location described in the texts, an ancient site shrouded in secrecy. It was said to be the resting place of a weapon or being that could turn the tide of any battle. The journey itself was fraught with peril, as alien forces hunted relentlessly, but the team's determination burned brighter than their fear. As humanity fought tooth and nail for survival, Elena realized the true nature of the legend. Death was not a mere weapon. It was a force bound to humanity's will, a reflection of their determination to endure. The answer was closer than anyone imagined, waiting to be unleashed. The team arrived at the ancient site, a place lost to time and shrouded in mystery. Carved into the stone walls were symbols eerily similar to those on the executioner's ships, confirming that humanity's distant past and the alien invaders were somehow connected. In the center of the cavern stood a massive structure, a black obelisk humming with an energy that felt alive. This was what the texts had referred to, the source of humanity's salvation or destruction. Elena's hands trembled as she approached, deciphering the inscriptions etched onto the obelisk. The words were cryptic, warning of a price to be paid for awakening what lay dormant. Yet, they also spoke of an unbreakable bond between humanity and the force within, a bond forged in an age so ancient it had become myth. With no other choice, Elena activated the obelisk, pressing her hand against its cold surface. The ground shook violently, and a soundless wave of energy rippled outward, knocking everyone to their knees. The executioners' ships reacted immediately, their formations breaking as if disturbed by something beyond their comprehension. From the obelisk, a dark figure began to take shape, a being of shadows and smoke, its form shifting constantly yet undeniably human in essence. It was death, not as an enemy, but as an ally, summoned by the collective will of a species refusing to be extinguished. The presence of death changed everything. Alien drones that had seemed unstoppable now faltered. Their sleek, precise movements became erratic as if overwhelmed by fear. Death moved through the battlefield like a force of nature, disassembling the executioner's technology with ease. Ships fell from the sky, their once impenetrable hulls crumbling under its touch. For the first time, the executioners showed signs of uncertainty. Their cold efficiency wavered as they attempted to regroup, but death was relentless. It didn't just destroy, it dismantled their systems, unraveling their technology and turning their weapons against them. Humanity seized the opportunity, launching coordinated strikes on weakened ships and reclaiming lost ground. Elena and her team watched in awe and trepidation. Death was unlike anything they had imagined. Not a machine, not a deity, but something in between. It was a manifestation of humanity's collective defiance, an ancient weapon forged not from metal but from willpower and survival instinct. Yet its power was not without consequence. The energy emanating from the obelisk grew more intense, and cracks began to form in its surface. Elena realized the truth of the legend. Death's power came at a cost. It was a force born from humanity's darkest moments, and while it could save them now, it was not meant to remain unleashed. If left unchecked, it could consume everything, including the very people it sought to protect. As the executioner's fleet crumbled and their invasion faltered, the question loomed larger. Could death be controlled, or had humanity unleashed something even more dangerous than the alien threat? The battle was not over, but the tide had undeniably turned. For the first time, the executioners understood what they were truly up against. The executioners, now cornered and desperate, launched their final assault. Their remaining ships descended en masse, aiming to obliterate Earth's surface in a single catastrophic strike. The skies filled with fire as alien weapons rained destruction, but humanity, emboldened by death's presence, refused to retreat. What had once been a losing battle now became a coordinated retaliation. Human forces, scattered but unbroken, rallied with precision. Makeshift command centers issued orders to strike at weak points death had exposed in the alien technology. Fighter jets, ground-based missile systems, and even civilian drones swarmed the sky, targeting the invaders with a ferocity born from survival. The executioners, for all their advancements, struggled to adapt to the chaos of human resistance. Death was everywhere. Its form shifted between shadow and flame, tearing through alien vessels with a feral intensity. It didn't just destroy, it seemed to unravel the very essence of the executioner's technology, leaving only hollow husks in its wake. The once mighty alien fleet was reduced to fragments, their arrogance shattered by an ancient force they could neither predict nor comprehend. As the tide turned, the final alien mothership descended, its size dwarfing anything humanity had seen before. It unleashed a barrage of weapons so powerful that even death hesitated. Cities were leveled, entire landscapes scarred, but humanity's resolve did not break. Using the knowledge gained from their earlier strikes, human forces launched a desperate counteroffensive, focusing every remaining resource on bringing the colossal vessel down. Inside the ancient site, Elena stood before the obelisk, watching as its cracks deepened and its energy grew unstable. Death's power was overwhelming, but it was clear that it could not be sustained. The obelisk groaned under the strain, and Elena understood the final truth of the legend. Death's purpose was not to annihilate but to protect. Its power was tied to humanity's will to survive, and if misused, it could spiral out of control. With the obelisk on the verge of collapse, Elena made a choice. She began reciting the ancient inscription, a ritual meant to return death to its dormant state. Outside, death faltered, its form flickering as if resisting the call to rest. The executioners, sensing the shift, rallied for one last stand. The final moments were a blur of destruction and defiance. As death unleashed its remaining strength, humanity delivered the killing blow. The colossal mothership exploded in a fiery cascade, its debris falling harmlessly into the atmosphere. The battle was over, and the executioners were no more. In the aftermath, the obelisk dimmed, and death faded, leaving only silence. Elena collapsed to the ground, exhausted but relieved. Humanity had survived, but the price of unleashing such power lingered in her mind. The obelisk, though dormant, still hummed faintly, a reminder of the force that had saved them and the warning it carried. Around the world, survivors emerged from the rubble, gazing at a sky that was finally clear. Humanity had not just survived, it had proven that it would not go quietly into extinction. Messages were broadcast to the stars, a declaration of resilience and a warning to any who might come next. Earth was not to be underestimated. As the dust settled, the obelisk stood silent, waiting for a time when it might be called upon again. For now, humanity had earned its place among the stars, scarred but unbroken, ready to face whatever came next.